You know what, guys? I'm gonna be very frank with you guys here, and that is 2025. A lot of people are gonna make a lot of money from crypto, but the problem, the downside, the flip side is that a greater majority of people, I think maybe, I would say probably 70% of people, they're probably gonna not only lose money, but they're gonna lose a lot of money in crypto. The way I see things, that's unfortunately how things are gonna play out. And I'll be frank with you guys. This is probably one of the last big bull runs we'll have before all the institutional investors come in. I feel like this is the last good opportunity for anyone that's in crypto, that's an enthusiast, that's doesn't have rich uncles that can support them and give them intel. This is your chance to make something big happen. And honestly, I'm putting in not only my effort, but my whole team is putting a hell lot of effort to make sure that we are the top of what we're doing. I see that that's the only way for us to succeed is like to be the best at something. And the people who are not going to put in the time or the effort or the funds, we're going to lose out big time. All right. Honestly. And I see this. And this video is kind of inspired by this quote that came out here. Because I was reviewing through comments with my team, and this irked us a bit. Right, so let me read you from George A6354. He says, "Finally, something that makes sense. I'm tired of all these small, pointless projects that waste a lot of time and ultimately lead nowhere halfway through. They just stop working. I'm very close to unsubscribing because you wasted so much of my time and the constant airdrops that have drained the power from my computer. You don't need to focus on quantity, but put effort into real valuable airdrops and stream less. How many airdrops have we actually received this year? How many have we farmed? How much time and money has it cost? Do a show about that. Then you'll see you're wasting both our time and your own." And this was really upsetting to us because, as a strategy on our sub channel Alpha Drop, we've been producing content like mad. Our content strategy has been produce more, research more, deliver more, and we spent some time to reflect on that. And something I realized here is that, yeah, we produced a lot of videos, and what's kind of important in this time, and one of the reasons why we do so many, is you want to be on top of your game. It's hard to say that. Like, you think on surface you can be on the top of your game if you produce less and you just do research more, but that's not really the case, and that's not really how crypto works. I feel like something that's, kind of part of our strategy, and I'll tell you what's really important about this strategy in a sec, but one of our strategies here is we consider airdrops like power-ups. They're kind of like, when you're playing video game, you play Mario, and you're like getting the little coins out there, and you're powering up throughout the time. That's kind of how airdrops work. It's a kind of a way to spread your reach and spread your knowledge as wide as possible. And I feel like if you just do a few, you're going to miss the point. And I feel like this is where I have a fundamental difference from where George is taking. George thinks, okay, look, if you just focus on quality, spend less time, make more. That completely does not work in crypto. Ironically, the biggest airdrops that sometimes we get are the smaller projects that, they weren't making so super big waves, but when they deliver, because so few people farm them, they get a massive reward because sometimes people suddenly discover it and say, oh my god, this project is super important. Then it delivers a 100x, and then the people who are early in that project, they make a shit ton of money. Like, not just like $200 or $300 per airdrop. They're making thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's the whole point of doing this, right? You're not supposed to be cutting your scope. You're not supposed to be working less. Nothing can drain your computer. I mean, that quote makes me angry just to listen to, like, oh, how much, like, nothing. If you're worried about your computer being drained, you should not be in crypto. Honestly. Like, if you're worried about your computer being drained of power, I don't even know how that works. If you're worried about spending too much time, effort, you're in the wrong place, buddy, because this place favors the people who spend a ridiculous amount of time, right? Think of who's going to be a winner here, right? Do you think, like let's place a bet, right? Do you, like, I don't want to throw George out there, but I will, but, like, do you think George is going to make more money in this space, or do you think Martin's going to make more money because he's spending a ridiculous amount of time researching videos, condensing that content, and then, of course, making the video for you, and then, of course, doing his own crypto on the side? He's going to be making way more than George, who here is like worried about his computer being drained, right? Like honestly, time, effort will give you a lead advantage. If you are farming, let's say 100 airdrops and one of them does 100x, holy shit, right? That's how you do it. It's volume, effort. It could be the case, it could be the case that, you just stumble lucky. But if you want to guarantee success, then you need to be in every single airdrop. And the second thing that infuriates me more about this is like airdrops. Okay, so the way I see it, okay, airdrops is a good way to power up, be exposed, but it's also a good way for you to learn. And it's like part of the process of the research is to understand, okay, what projects are gaining momentum? What are the hidden gems out there? Because if you want the 100x, you're going to have to find the hidden gems. You're not going to stumble upon, the biggest project that's going to deliver you 100x. That's not going to be the case anymore. Look, we all want Bitcoin to do another 100x, okay? But quite frankly, at its current market cap, it's going to take a while for it to do 100x. If you want to discover something new and exciting, then you have to be in the altcoin space, right? For Bitcoin to do at 100x, it's going to have to grow to a $20 trillion market cap. Just think of that, $20 trillion, right? Not going to be very easy, but if you're going to find a small cap coin, $2 million cap, for it to grow 100x from 2 million cap to 200 million cap, that's possible, especially within a small period of time. That's how the crypto works. So if you're not going to spend the time finding the gems that are valuable for you, or finding something that really resonates with you, it's not going to work. Second thing, we always say, okay, this is not financial advice, do your own research. And this is really important right now because everyone here is competing, all right? This is a space where everyone is going to participate and everyone wants to make 100x. If you're not willing to do more than everyone else, how can you win? Like I'm a little bit baffled, right? I'm sitting here wondering, like, if you just want everything spoon-fed to you, which is what we're trying to do, but you have to do more than that. I'm sorry, you just can't just watch one source and go. It's kind of shooting myself in the foot here, but it's also true, right? You can watch every single video, great, but also at the same time, you need to do your own research. You can't just sit there and expect everything to be fed to you. I heard this phrase, like, oh, make me rich, sir. Like, I heard that floating around a bunch of times. Like, no one is gonna make you rich. You are the only one who will make yourself rich. Go do the research, go do the work, because that's what I did, right? We did that all the time. And that's how we actually gained the advantage, all right? Like, let's say right now, airdrops are like money falling from the sky, right? Right. If you're not gonna be willing to like hold buckets out here to collect all those airdrops and all these coins, you're not gonna win. If you're just gonna be fed a few dollars, it's not gonna work. You have to find ways to grow. And one of our ways is producing more content. But at the same time, you also need to research and figure out what's strong, what's better, how do we grow together. And quite frankly, here's another tidbit for you guys, right? Here's another sad truth of life, right? Life is not all about, oh, let's share and win. If I have the best alpha, right? Strategically, if I have the best alpha that I spend effort researching, I spend my time researching, I spend my team's time researching, maybe I trade it for something else. I'm not gonna always put that in the open. That's just quite frankly, unfortunately, you can't share everything. What people value here, especially in the industry, is trading information. A lot of times, you do your research, you have your head start, and then you trade that for more information. So unfortunately, you have to do your own research. You have to be above everyone else. And then you trade with people who are also above everyone else. And that cycles forward because now you form a group, a community of people who are really above everyone else. And then they win. That's usually how these groups work. These are smaller groups. And we see that in Telegram all the time. Small private groups win. So there are probably ones that are great. And, early on, I believe this utopian idea that we can, maybe all just win together. But it's 2025, guys. Quite frankly, making money is a lot harder. Like this year, Bitcoin is growing strong, but we see the alts not as strong. And unfortunately, when the alts are not as strong and it's not the case where you can click a button and win, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's a very competitive space. So if you're not going to put in the effort, you deserve to lose. Because the rules are that if you have more advantage, if you have more alpha than everyone else, then you stand at advantage. And people will use that advantage. Disproportionately so too. And this is another lesson I learned kind of like through the journey, which is that the people who have all the intel and info, they can actually pull more funds and extract more from the market. So they have actually a louder voice and a stronger control in the market, which is why we kind of have to move in. We basically can play now maybe for the next 2 or 3 years as a community. But after that, the institutional investor guys are going to come and they're going to just destroy this place because they share intel privately. They have this proportional capital. It leaves the small guys with no chance. So like now is a time where I still see this window of opportunity where smaller projects can win and the projects that don't have VC funding can win. But that window is shrinking. And the people who are like BlackRock, then they can extract a lot of value from the markets. They're going to come in and they're going to have a bigger say. And they're not going to share that stuff with you. So right now is the only time we can have time to fight. And the only time we have to have the opportunity to win. Because that opportunity to win is going to shrink over time. And that's going to, that's unfortunately going to be what's going to happen. So anyways, now, how do you succeed then? Right? I think that's a good question. And there are many ways depending on where you are. Yet again, not financial advice. But first and foremost, all right, what we're trying to do here on the second channel, one of the projects I'm building is the airdrop tier list. Right? So the way I view airdrops is that these are projects that want to grow a community and they're willing to give coins for that community to grow. And a lot of times these airdrops can add to quite a bit. So say for example, if you are able to farm even like Manta or like even earlier, there's like quite a few projects that were giving thousands of dollars. You'll be able to kind of collect these thousands of dollars. It's kind of like, I would view them as power-ups. This is quite like, it's like trading time for potential rewards. But the problem with airdrops, obviously, and you guys probably know if you've been in this space, is that it's unknown how much airdrops will be given. But we try to kind of classify and tier them up in this one, like what's kind of doing popular and what's kind of not. So if you want the step-by-step guide or the first place to look, this will be it. Airdrop tier list, collect your power-ups. Because I know a lot of you guys, you probably don't want to commit too much capital too early. But time is something that you have probably a lot more than you think you do. Right? Like when I first started crypto, I actually didn't watch TV for a long period of time. People were like, oh yeah, have you watched the latest episode of Game of Thrones? I'm like, no. Do you think I have time to watch that? Like, I'm sorry, but like I can't even spare an hour of my time. You can create time, unfortunately. It's not nice. All right, weekends, evenings. It's I used to actually do a stream while I was working. I used to have to do my video on the way to work and then at 11 p.m. after work. That's how much I worked, right? Like you think about the amount of work that's required to even prep for the video, do everything there. I was like prepping on the transportation on the way to work. I was like reading through like, what is this? Unfortunately, that's the way I had to do it, right? And then I had to accumulate that knowledge. And then I was actually producing something useful, which I actually kind of encourage you guys to do. If you guys want to be creators, it actually gives you an advantage too, because you actually know and learn and talk to more people and grow your community, right? So if you're willing to put in the work, get and do airdrops and farm that, you're going to stand an advantage because you're going to learn a lot more about what's happening with all these projects because there's a lot more names popping up, but also like the ecosystems that they're in. You're going to have an idea of like, oh, Hyperliquid, okay, what's hot about it? What's the top projects? What kind of volumes are they doing right now? You're going to have all that intelligence. What's the community like? What are they talking about? What are their pain points, right? Well, that's going to be valuable intelligence. So airdrops is, for me, one of my top priorities right now. And I think for a lot of you guys, this makes sense. So airdroplet.com, which we're actually adding a lot to that. Our second channel, Alpha Drop, is also doing that. It's pretty much frontier content. So we're publishing a lot of videos every day. And I'm not going to change that. I had the feedback there to change it. No, I'm not going to change that because at the end of the day, right, you guys want to spread out as much as possible. Get that intelligence. We already pre-digested this information for you already, right? Pre-digested, sort that out, find what you're interested in, be part of that community, get strong, and of course, get rewarded, right? Because we all want rewards, and we'll share with you guys when to collect those rewards also on alphadrop.com. So if there's an airdrop and they're giving out to people that are part of the community, we'll remind you guys of that. And there's a lot of airdrops that, unfortunately, that you have to collect in a short amount of period of time. So being on the ball really matters. The second thing is once you get powered up, then it's time to play in kind of I will say, like, you can choose like the main coins or the secondary market, but then that's when you increase your domains. I'll talk about more about those episodes, like what projects I'm interested in, but I do want to focus this video on the first step, which is unfortunately the hard truth, which is you actually need to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort to be the best at something. Could be airdrops. Anyways, guys, I kind of rambled on a bit, but I think that's my reply, and that's kind of how I'm taking things. I think the biggest view to say is like 2020 was when we are going to make it. WAGMI was a thing where we're all gonna make it. 2025, nah, not all of us are gonna make it. Honestly, if you spend more effort than everyone else, you will have a lot higher chance of making it than the people who just sit around and do nothing or do bare minimum. If you're willing to extend yourself, if you're willing to do more than everyone else, you're gonna win, and you're gonna win big. So take it as you wish. It's a hard truth, but effort is definitely correlated with results or financial gains. So guys, thank you guys so much for watching that. I know it's a rant, but I hope you guys get the message, because I do see that this market is a lot harder to just win in this space. I don't see free money floating around that much anymore, and I hope you guys can be in the same group. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. See you next one.